Hello and welcome to Time for God from St. Peter's, Bexhill. Today we're thinking about Jesus in the synagogue encountering a man with an impure spirit. Do you remember The X-Files? The truth is out there, they used to say. The X-Files was a television series back in the 1990s where the two main characters, Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, investigated things that couldn't be explained, the X-Files of the title. And more often than not, the things that couldn't be explained turned out to be of an alien or supernatural nature. They were fun and scary programmes in equal measure, perhaps more scary than fun, come to think of it, the sort of programme to watch from behind the sofa. But at their best, and in their own way, they were also searching for meaning in a confused and confusing world. There was even a spiritual side to the stories, as Scully, played by Gillian Anderson, was a bit of a lapsed Christian. She wore a cross round her neck and was looking for deeper meaning to her life. The series went on too long and faded away, as such things tend to do, but at its best, it explored some interesting ideas. And part of their exploring nearly always involved entering a dark house or dark tunnel or dark cave. The exact place varied, but it was always dark. And it was always towards the end of the episode when we, the audience, knew that the evil thing was lurking somewhere in the darkness, even if they didn't. And even if they did know, they still always went in. And this is where it got totally unrealistic. They always went in by the light of the most amazing torches. These were torches they just pulled out of their pockets and which always worked. Totally unbelievable. The torches never faded away to a feeble yellow or just didn't work at all, as my torch always does whenever I put it out of my pocket. If I remember to put a torch in my pocket in the first place, and not that I've gone into a dark house, tunnel or cave where something evil is lurking all that often, come to think of it. And then I got myself a mag light. They really are amazing. I'm not being sponsored by Maglite, by the way. Other torches are available, but they really are that bright. There are now lots of other makes of torch that do much the same thing, and modern LED lights are even better still. But the Maglite was the first torch to be so bright from just ordinary batteries in a pocket-sized torch. And it always works. They really do pierce the darkness. And where we used to live in the Dorset countryside, if you went out at night, things could get very dark. And then, a while back, the bulb of my Maglite stopped working. I vaguely remembered the packet it came in saying there was a spare bulb in the handle, but I hadn't kept the packet, and after a cursory search I couldn't find it. And so come the dark winter nights, there I was again with my old and very feeble yellow torch fading away or not working at all, as I tried to find my way around the countryside. For several weeks, whenever I was in town, I went into shop after shop looking for a spare bulb. Nowhere had one, until finally I found someone in a very specialised shop in Salisbury who knew what I was talking about. And the helpful chap behind the counter showed me where the spare bulb was, safely tucked away behind the spring in the base of the handle. It had been there all the time, and my torch worked brilliantly, literally brilliantly, once again. The answer had been there all the time. I just hadn't looked carefully enough. I hadn't read or followed the instructions properly, and I had been walking in darkness as a result. The greatest source of light we have, of course, is not my little torch, but our nearest star, the sun. There's not much of it today. Without the sun, all life on earth would perish. Indeed, we wouldn't have been here in the first place. We need the sun to survive. We also need it to see where we're going. Yet we are constantly warned that we cannot stay out in the sunshine very long without some sort of protection, and we are told from a very early age that we cannot, must not, look directly at the sun ever. We cannot look directly at the sun. In a similar way, we cannot look directly at God. This is why we have Jesus. Jesus reveals God to us in a way that we can cope with, in a way we can understand as a person. And today, we see Jesus beginning his ministry. He begins by teaching with authority. We are told that his listeners are amazed because he is different to all the other teachers. They're amazed because he taught them as one who had authority, not as the teachers of the law. Other teachers would say things like, so-and-so says this, whereas so-and-so says that. Jesus just teaches. And people recognize his authority, his personal authority. He teaches and people listen. But where there is authority, there is also opposition. The man who is there with the unclean spirit inside him shouts out, "Jesus of Nazareth, have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Whatever you make of unclean spirits, whatever the poor man was suffering, here is opposition. Now we find the idea of evil spirits difficult these days. Yet we all know about the struggle with illness, with disease, with depression, with the burdens of life. And I'm sure we have all had times when we are ill or run down, when it feels like we are struggling with something outside ourselves, something cunning and resourceful that wants to take away our happiness, our spirit, our lives. And notice how it is only this unclean spirit, this madman, who recognizes Jesus. This is the strange point of the story. It is as though his illness, whatever it may be, has scraped away layers of blindness and insensitivity, so that he is aware, as no one else is aware, of the presence of God in front of him. Most people at the time believed that evil spirits were so powerful that only God could cast them out. So the crowd must have been wondering how Jesus would react. Does Jesus have the authority, the power to do something in this situation? And if he does have the authority, if he has the power to cast out evil, what does this say about this man, Jesus of Nazareth? The Bible gives us a very clear answer. Just as God, back in the creation story, right at the very beginning of the Bible, speaks and good things happen. Now Jesus speaks and a good thing happens. "Be quiet," says Jesus sternly. "Come out of him." His words have authority and power, and the evil comes howling out of the poor man. Notice that Jesus' words are a command, not a request. These are powerful words of authority that change the way things are. And the man is made well, restored, set free to be himself again. The word authority has a range of meanings. You might like to look up the word in your dictionary. This is your homework for the week. And think about the different definitions and how they apply to Jesus, yourself, and the world. My dictionary says that authority can mean a negative power to control, to judge, influence, or limit others. It can also refer to someone who is an expert, an authority, or reliable witness. Or it can be very positive and mean someone with creative power that leads to safety. When it gets dark, we turn our lights on, whatever sort of light we may have. We need the sun to live, we need light to be safe, and we need to consciously step into the light. Today, of course, we have security lights that come on when there is movement outside to welcome friendly visitors and to deter people who might actually want to walk around in darkness. The first people to read the Bible didn't have this. They didn't know about mag lights and LED torches, of course, but they knew all about the light that pierces the darkness where evil is lurking. Like my torch, which now works because I have been shown that everything I needed was right there in front of me all the time. If only I had seen it. But this story is not about my torch or your security light. It is about the absolute authority and power of God in Jesus Christ, the light of the world, the power and authority that sets us free. Amen.